And we're back, Bills Mafia.
Peg, what have you been doing the last couple weeks?
Well, not a heck of a lot, not much. It's tax season, as many Americans know. That's going on right now.
And
Well,
are you
we
in the
don't.
red or in the black?
We are in the red.
Oh man, just like the Bills, like every year we're in the red.
Coming to you from the great Southwest and Central New York, a brother and sister from the same mother and mister, Patrick Newell and Peg Newell, your hosts of Bill's Bloodline.
There you go. So welcome, Bills Bloodline fans, all 111 of you. We're here for the off season, and yeah, thank you so much for everyone that subscribed. We got quite a few more at the end of the year. It's kind of like we were rallying at the end of the game and we just ran out of time. You know, the comeback's
Yeah.
not over. We just ran out of time. We're still on that comeback mode, but thank you, everyone. And if you get a chance and you like what you hear, please consider subscribing.
Yeah. You can find us on your favorite streaming services, Spotify, Apple. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and of course on YouTube. Thanks for being here,
Yeah.
Pat.
So, yeah. I'm glad I'm here. Peg, I'm glad you're there.
Yeah.
Peg's got the kids put to bed, so she's going to squeeze in this little podcast, and then she's
Yes.
obviously it's back to the grind of teaching school. I don't know if it's a grind. She loves her job, right, Peg?
Yeah, I do. I do. I love it. I just do not like grading. I love the students. I got a lot of Bills fans, so it's great. We talk shop all the time. Some of the kids listen to the podcast, but a lot of Buffalo Bills fans. I'm right up in central New York here, and Pat's down in the great Southwest. And so this is a great opportunity. If you're new to the podcast, just it's a great opportunity for us to talk and stay in touch. We've been on hiatus for a few weeks. But things are starting to heat up in the NFL, especially with the salary cap deadline looming. And I was talking to Pat, like I am a layperson. You know, this podcast is for you. Pat might have a lot more knowledge than I do, but together we're just fans. You know, this isn't our job, and I'm looking to Pat to help instruct me, and by proxy, hopefully our listeners. If you don't understand all the ins and outs of this time of the year for NFL teams.
You're right. Yeah, you know, and Peg's life is busier than mine. I have a regular job, but I'm an empty nester. Peg's got two little kids. One that's I think in pre-K or kindergarten this year.
PK.
Another one that's about a year and a half old, and she's
In
busy with
diapers.
her wife. Yes, and yeah, she's got the daily duties of teaching the impressionable high school youth of America in Central New
Yeah.
York. So, yeah, a lot of things have happened. We hired Brady, and Brady has been putting together his staff, and he's got his staff together. And now the Bills are in the position where we have to make some decisions, Peg. We're over the salary cap. We kind of joked about it at the beginning. We're over 5 to 10 million, depending on where the final cap, settles in. It gets raised every year, like incrementally. And despite that, we're still over it. So, Peg, tough decisions for Brandon Bean and company. We're going to have to part ways with some people. Maybe make some magic with contracts. I don't know what you're thinking in terms of guys that on the short list of we're saying goodbye to those types of guys. Who do you think are on the top of the list that we're going to wave goodbye?
Well, I think we got stuck in a bad contract with Curtis Samuel. And again, I should say this to Bills Mafia. This is the eye test for me, and also just common sense. And there's a little bit of a disclaimer on my end, but my eye test tells me, he was injured more than he played. It was a big contract, and it's kind of a no brainer that we've got to let him go. There are a bunch of other faces that we're probably not going to see. Taylor Rapp, he seems like one who may be on the chopping block. And then, of course, we've got some incredible offensive linemen, our center, McGovern. we're not gonna let him go, but he's just kind of priced out of our ability to afford him. So those are some big names, and of course, David Edwards. Those are a couple of names. Who am I missing?
Guys, yeah, Milano's gone. He adjusted his contract last year. He got some cash up front and some void years thrown on at the end, so we could space out that bonus. And it was negotiated so he could get out 1 year. I think he had at least one more year on his contract, and this allows him to get out and maybe get one more contract with someone else. And then Shaq Thompson, who's kind of a godsend if you think about it. I'm that. We were able to keep some guys such as like a Dawson Knox or a Ty Johnson. But I was kind of thinking about bad contracts are only bad because the player plays bad. So
Right.
not not for nothing. Granted he was injured, but even when he was playing, Curtis Samuel, it was very hit or miss.
Yeah.
He didn't this year. He barely did anything. Last year, toward the end of the year, I don't know if you remember, he did a couple things in the playoffs. He had a touchdown against the Chiefs, a big game, and then he had a big touchdown against Denver in the playoffs. But his
Yeah.
moments of glory were few and far between. And Taylor Rapp, he tried to play. I don't know if you remember, but with him on the field, our defense was abysmal. Positional needs. I'll just give you a quick summary. We're going to look at positional needs. Coming up in the off season. What do we think about last year's draft class, and kind of an outlook. That's our one of our off season priorities this year is to kind of highlight the big news. We're not going to be a week to week in the off season, right, Peg?
Right.
We're going to check in with you guys when something happens, and if something big happens, we'll be
Yeah.
back on here again.
One thing that I want to talk to Pat about today, because we haven't had the opportunity to talk. And of course, you can always send us an email if you have questions you'd like us to answer. It's billsbloodline@gmail.com. But I want to address some of the rumors that are out there, the abundance of rumors about potential signings. But we'll get to that
Absolutely,
soon enough, maybe toward the
yeah.
end.
So I'm going to throw this at Peg because I know I don't want her to get into the granular details because she doesn't have time to get into the granular details. She's she can't. I mean, she's not watching 8 different podcasts about the Buffalo Bills like I do. So Peg, well, I think I'm going to throw you a softball here. So
Okay.
top 2 off season positional needs, based on what happened last year, in your opinion. What do you think?
Oh yeah. I look back at the last 2 Super Bowls and, what won that game, sacks, pressures. Of course, the offense obviously mattered, but it seems like defense won, those last 2, 59 and 60, that is, the Super Bowls. And I think the Bills, if they wanna get over the hump, I think they have to prioritize edge rusher. We did not put enough pressure on the quarterbacks. We didn't get enough sacks. And I think that's the number one need that we need to address. And then, of course, number two is going to be wide receiver, something we've, as fans have been talking about all year. What do you think, Pat, in addition to those?
Well, let me just throw this out here to you. What do you think of the Bills, making some space for their cap for, say, a Trey Hendrickson or a Max Crosby, the two I guess, the top of I guess you could say the pick of the litter. If
Right.
there were marquee names at the top of the pass rushing board, those two probably stand out. And anything else that we were to, maybe finagle on a trade would not be at that level. But what do you think about if we could somehow find the means to sign one of those two guys?
So I did take a peek at Spot Rack, just a
Yeah.
projected. Yeah, it's a fun thing, a fun website to take a look at. And I don't have the numbers in front of me right now, but I wanted to say something. If we were to sign Crosby, we're looking upward to between 20 and $30 million a year.
We would inherit his contract because he's under contract.
Okay.
Um, so it would basically be passed off to us. I don't think the Raiders are in a position where they will eat some of his salary to get rid of him because
Right.
they're kind of in a good spot here. If
Yeah.
they stay with him, they have a great pass rusher. If they want to trade him, they're looking for draft assets. So I
Yeah.
think we would inherit whatever he has. And then with Trey Hendrickson, I know you didn't ask this,
No, no.
He's a little older, and he has I don't think he's ever made the same amount of money as Max Crosby, so I would think he would come in I don't know if you have spot rack available, but he would come in at a
Yeah.
little bit less than that, I
So
think.
everything that I've heard, and that's just through consuming a little bit of media and podcasts, is that we have about roughly if a few players restructure, like Deion Dawkins and Josh Allen, as Josh Allen has been wont to do, very common practice that we're looking at about 40 million to play with. And I'm just concerned that, someone like Hendrickson or Crosby would eat up a huge chunk of that. And then we find ourselves, okay, well, we don't have any depth. We need a safety. We probably, with Tre'Davious White being done. Um, other players kind of, moving out of the defense. Jordan Poyer, we didn't talk about Poyer at all as
Yeah,
like,
he's re
goodness
yeah.
gracious, he's done, you know?
I think he's
And
hinted at he's done. He's gonna be 35,
yeah,
next year, so I wouldn't say deteriorated because that sounds like he's, like, falling apart, but I would say even at less than 100% of his, peak form, the defense got better without him because of his know-how, and
right,
he knew where everybody was supposed to be, and Cole Bishop could play more free. Cole
right.
Bishop continued to play well and even better when he had, you know, Poyer by his side, as opposed to like when Taylor Rapp was out there, it
Mm,
seemed like everybody was lost. so,
yeah.
um, so yeah, so that's the and what's your number two? So number one's Edge. What's
So
your number two?
edge, number 2, and then, and I have some interesting ideas. Wide receiver. We need someone who can create separation, and that's something again, the eye test. I saw that just as a general fan. You could see that the receivers weren't getting open for Josh, and I think Brady. We definitely criticized Brady a lot for the bubble screens, but it was a highly efficient play that Khalil Shakir got a lot of yards after catch with. And it just makes you wonder if he had to go to those really, really high percentage, but then also predictable plays that if they don't work out, you get stuffed and everybody can read them and know they're coming. But was that just out of desperation because no one was getting open? And then there were times that Josh turned people down as well. So it's hard to tell. But I do think we need someone who can create separation. And I have some ideas about that would fit nicely into our budget, I think. Um, but I'm curious about this Keon. I might as well bring it up. There's a rumor about Keon Coleman being traded to Jacksonville for one of their wideouts. Who, when I looked him up, and do you know his name, Pat? I can't think of his name off the top of my
Brian
head.
Thomas.
Yeah,
Brian
Brian
Thomas Jr.
Thomas. Yeah, yeah. Just kind of, I looked at his numbers, and they weren't anything that like caught my eye,
Well, his rookie year, he
especially
was really good, but last year, nuts.
yeah,
He kind of had an issue with
500
drops,
yards.
and
Okay.
yeah, he had some issues with drops, and then they kind of integrated. Parker Washington became a more go-to type of guy, and he had a great game against us. Fortunately,
Yes, he did. Yeah,
um, and then
yeah.
obviously Travis Hunter is going to be back, next year,
Mm,
and I can't remember who the other guy was that they had. But anyway, they're looking at. Brian Thomas was a good idea, but with the new coaching staff,
right.
um, so I Brian
Yeah,
Thomas
and
is one guy.
they
Yeah,
want a first rounder for him as well. Take Keon, we get Brian Thomas and a first rounder, and we
no,
can't give up our first round pick.
no,
So,
he's not worth a first rounder. So I'm going to throw some names out here to
okay.
you. This is what I was going to do, and you can give me like a yes or no, or maybe a couple word answer.
Okay.
Um, and Rashid Shaheed.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%. Because we satisfied 2 things there. He really came on strong the second half of the year. Of course, Super Bowl champion, catching the ball, but I mean, he returned he was the only player in the NFL to return a punt and a kickoff return this year too. We need that. And I know we had it was great that Ray Davis became our punt returner, but to have someone with that speed as
Mhm.
Shaheed and can create separation. Had several important catches, critical catches in the Super Bowl. Yeah, excited about that. I don't know if we can get him though.
Um, One name you might not know as well, but he's kind of a rising for the Colts, deep threat, 21
Alec,
yards a catch. Alec Pierce.
Alec Pierce. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's never caught 50 passes in a season, but he's averaged over 20 yards of reception. So he's a massive deep threat. For
Yeah.
us, we were relying on Brandon Cooks. He's 32 32 or 33 years old to be our
Yes.
deep guy, and he'd only been with the team less than 2 months. So Alec Pierce, yes.
Yes, to Alec Pierce, yes.
Oh,
Except he's gonna be he's up there. He's not
the
like
20
George.
million, yeah.
Yeah, he's not like George Pickens money, but he's up there. He's up there. I
Okay.
would stay away from Pickens with a 10-foot pole.
That's what I was gonna say, George Pickens.
Nope, 10-foot pole. I put him in the Stephon Diggs category.
Okay, I'm making my way to that. Jalen Waddle, a guy we actually thought we might have had a chance at, as it turns
Yeah,
out. What do you think,
yeah.
Jalen Waddle?
With Waddle, depending on I don't know what his market value is, but I kind of put him in the category of would you take Mike Evans over Waddle? And I would take Mike Evans. He's older, but he still has been effective. He's at the right price point, and I think he's that big target in the end zone who can go up and grab the balls. What we were hoping Keon would do, Mike Evans does. But
Uh, and there's more guys, but I'm just going to give you
okay,
this last one. He was, I believe the news came out today that this guy's going to be cut by the Dolphins. Tyreek Hill.
yeah, it's Tyreek Tyreek had the injury.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Nope. And part of it is, part of it is a character fit, and
Yeah,
you
for the
know,
culture.
for the culture there. And I know that a big chunk of that culture is going to remain. And, we owe that to Sean McDermott. And that doesn't go away just because we have a new head coach. It's still going to be there. He was still part of that system. And Waddle is just not a good fit. And even if George Pickens were cheaper, I don't think he would be a good fit either because we've gone down that path. And look
Yeah.
at this
Oh,
player who's, going to
I
probably
just
be cut.
I just thought of a dark horse, and I'll get off this one.
Okay.
Um, Chicago Bears have a guy named DJ Moore who was
Mm,
huge for them. He ended up being their number one. He's a deep threat, but he's
okay.
also like a Diggs type of guy who can run routes. Just
Okay.
keep an eye on that as well.
Okay.
I'm going some deep cuts here for you. You're like, what? Who's
Yeah, I know. Well, I
yeah,
I have one that I'm high on, Pat, and I know that you didn't like it. He's like 5'8", 205, but Wan'Dale Robinson. If
he's
if if you check it out, the
he
last 3
catches a lot of
years,
balls. He caught a lot of
catches a lot
balls.
of balls. He's one of, I think, the second most targeted receiver in the NFL. His numbers in the last 3 years keep climbing and climbing and climbing, his production. Um, he is a deep threat. He is shorter, but he's got that speed, and more reliable hands, I think, than some other receivers and like Brandon Cooks and whatnot. So I like Wandale. We do have Shakir that can fulfill those kind of like that slot role, but I think Wandale is more of a down the field threat as well.
You are listening to Bill's Bloodline.
Pat, what's the biggest need that you think we need to address?
Well, you already took A and B,
Ah,
so
Selfish.
so
I'm the youngest.
I'm gonna yeah, you have first
The
pick.
youngest. I get all that
You have
stuff.
to make sure the youngest is fed first. So the young. So I'm gonna my third and fourth are equal, and that's linebacker and safety. Those are
Okay.
my two spots. If you look at safety, Cole Bishop, given the fact that I don't think Taylor Rapp is going to come back, and Jordan Poyer, I think, is going to finally retire. And then we look at how Jordan Hancock, he's not really a safety. He was terrible last year. Cam
Yeah.
Lewis looks like he's going to be gone. I don't know who else is left. So at safety, one way or the other, we're going to have to probably either draft, trade, or find a free agent. And at linebacker as well, Terrell Bernard, in the system, from what I understand, the system that Jim Leonard, our new D coordinator, he likes those inside linebackers that can run in and go downhill type run stuffers as a primary skill set. And then obviously they're going to have some secondary skills. But Terrell Bernard is not known as that downhill, thumping linebacker. He's more of a guy that's in space, react, coverage like Milano, coming up and shooting gaps every once in a while. So with Shaq Thompson, we don't know if he's going to come back. He's a free agent at this moment. Dorian Williams has never been really a starter. And then Milano's gone. So with Bernard, the only proven starter at linebacker, one way or the other, we're gonna have to find a linebacker or two,
Yeah,
at least from a depth standpoint. I don't know, that concerns me. Um, there's more missing pieces that we need than I think we can probably, justifiably get in free agency. And then with draft picks, who knows? Our draft pick, and that's our next topic. Our draft pick successes has been less than 50% the last couple of years. And
right.
anyway, that's what we're looking at, and the draft's gonna have
Yeah,
to be huge, Peg.
yeah,
At least from those 4 spots, getting at least 2 of those guys from draft picks and maybe a couple guys from free agents or trades.
yeah, yeah. Either way, Bean's gonna have to swing big. I think the fan base is calling for it. As he said, he won't be around next year, the following year if
Right.
something doesn't work out, but he's gonna have to work some magic. And some of the draft picks getting to this year's class or last year's draft class and their performance this year on the field. Some was a little bit, with Dorian Strong and Landon Jackson was just straight up bad luck.
Injuries, yeah.
Injuries. And Dorian Strong, just God bless him, he just had surgery last week. I just hope the young man heals well and has a really good quality of life for the rest of his life. Doesn't have to live in pain. I think playing football right now with a neck injury, it's something I would shudder to think about.
Do you wanna, I mean, obviously, we're not, X's and O's breaking down what they did last year, but I think we have a good sense of who played last year and who looks like they have potential, who looks like they need more work, and who looks like they, may never find a spot on the field as a starter. So I'll throw out a player, and then we can go back and forth. Max Hairston, our number 1
Yeah.
draft pick last year, showed some promise, I thought.
Yeah, he did. He did. He was on injured reserve, right, for the first
Yeah.
4 games and then was out the last game injured, correct? Or
Mhm.
was it the last
Yeah,
2 games?
he,
Yeah.
last couple games he missed. Yep, he missed
Yeah.
both playoff games.
Yeah, I think his speed is elite. What did he run, like a 4.3 something? 40, he's
4.29. Yeah,
4.29. Yeah,
yeah.
amazing. So Max Hairston, the eye test is that he can run with anyone. And he can make it difficult for any wide receiver one. In my mind, he's the most hopeful pick we have for the future is if he can stay healthy.
Yeah, I think he's got, yeah, think about it, Peg. It's like, say you had not taught class or prepped class for 4 months, and then on Monday, you gotta teach, 5 classes,
Yeah,
and you haven't prepped once.
yeah,
That's you got to, like, the weekend to prep, basically, okay?
yeah,
You know, that's what he got. He got the
yeah,
weekend to prep for his first game after being injured. He missed, like, in the entire preseason and the first 6 or 7 games, and then he
yeah.
came right he became they I think what they did is that they opened up a 21-day window for his injured reserve. And as soon as it opened up, he played that first week. He didn't have
Yes.
like additional practice time where he's playing with
Yeah,
the team and everything. He went right in there and he got, I don't know if it was against the Chiefs or I can't remember who it was, but I know he played against the Chiefs. One of his first 2 games and an interception in both games. So,
yeah,
okay, that guy's looking pretty good.
yeah.
Um,
Closing speed.
yeah, he's got
Closing
great
speed.
closing speed and he was
Yep.
good ball skills.
Yeah,
He appears that he can do man coverage, appears he can do zone coverage. It looks like he's not afraid to
yeah,
tackle and come up and make hits, even though he's a little guy.
yeah.
So I like what we got there
Mhm,
alongside Benford. Benford's more of like a physical, cerebral. You know, doesn't make any mistakes. Kind of a technician. Not
mhm.
that Harrison's not a technician. He's got the raw athletic ability. Imagine
Right.
Benford with that athleticism. He'd be like, no one would ever throw it. He'd be like Revis Island. No one
Yeah.
would ever go over there. So anyway, that's our first pick. Our
Yeah,
second pick,
yeah,
TJ Sanders, played some games at the start. Then he, got injured, missed 5 or 6 games, came back. He was, I barely knew he was on the field, even though he was
yeah,
playing like every game. I think
yeah.
he had a few tackles here and there, 1 sack, probably if I
Mhm.
recall. Maybe you're reading the stats off him, but some passes
Yeah,
defensed.
yeah.
Um, I don't know what to make of him and what to make. I think he was drafted for the McDermott scheme, and now
Mm,
he's getting thrown into the Jim Leonard scheme, which is doesn't involve two inside tackles. It's got like a nose tackle and then two guys out a little bit wider, and then you have
Mhm.
two out stand up linebackers outside them, giving you potentially five up on the front. But I don't know where his skill set fits in, and God, I hope he's not going to be a bust.
Yeah, I
I
hope
don't
so.
know what. Yeah, TJ. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. Not unremarkable this season, but maybe we'll have, like, the Cole Bishop, like, great leap next year. Like it.
Jackson. He only played in 3 games. Two of them I was pretty inconsequential. The third one, he played like 2 plays and tore some ligaments in his knee. And then from what
Mm,
I read, I don't know if he made a tackle, and
yeah,
maybe he was almost non-existent in his appearances and kind of a wasted year for a guy who looks like he has the athletic profile. He's a Hulk. He's like
yeah,
6'6", 265 pounds, very fast, very athletic,
yeah,
but didn't move the needle. So
yeah,
I'm hopeful that he something happens with him because he looks like he could be a bust.
yeah, yeah. Speaking of bust, right, there was like, is it Prather? Not to be confused with Prater, but it was our ninth pick. He was a wide receiver, just
Their
gone.
last guy,
The last guy.
he didn't
Nothing
make.
of
He got
him.
cut.
Yeah, he got
He
cut,
got
didn't
cut
make the
right off the
team.
bat.
Yep.
So the next two people were our probably our most successful draft
Yeah,
picks last year. Our fourth round pick, the dancing bear, Deion Walker.
yeah. Yep.
He had an
I like
interception
Dion.
in the playoff. He had an interception against Denver too. Where
Yes.
I
Just
don't think
stuck his
who's that
paw up in the air.
who's that grizzly that's standing in front of me.
I know. Yeah, he's great. I like him a lot. Overall, too, a blanket statement for trades, getting younger, getting younger, and faster. It just, and the older you get, this today, I just got on the treadmill for a minute and I felt like I pulled something. You get older and you're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
what is happening? And that happens and I'm going like 3.5 miles per hour. So
Oh, geez.
no, no, maybe a little bit faster, but it's like, and the same principle. You get older, it takes a long time to heal. And so just getting younger, I think is really important
And
overall.
I thought Deion Walker, there was times when he disappeared during the game and we wouldn't
Yeah.
hear it, but he seemed like a very splash playish type of
Mhm.
guy. Like he would out of nowhere make a tackle for a loss. He'd
Mhm.
bat down a pass. He would jump up and get that a crazy interception.
Right.
I don't think Bo Nix in his wildest dreams thought that guy was going to catch a pass from him. But anyway, he got that. That was huge. I guess
Yeah.
he has some work to do, with double teams.
Yeah.
There really isn't much of a spot for him except for inside with this defense. I can't
Right.
see them putting a guy on the outside who weighs 340 pounds, who
No.
is he's quick for a guy that's 340 pounds, but
Yeah.
let's be realistic. He's not a guy that's coming off the edge with any steam. But
Right. Right.
hopefully he can get better, defending the run on a more consistent basis and
Yeah.
maybe develop some pass rushing moves. So
I
number
hope so.
5, Jackson Hawes,
Yep. Boss
best number
Hawes.
3, best number 3. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, my Hawesome sauce. So
Awesome
anyway,
sauce. Yeah.
I
Great
said
blocker.
yeah, I said Hawesome sauce and no one
Yeah.
liked that whatsoever. I mean, when I said that, that was like that was
Awesome
like a
sauce. No. Yeah.
yeah, that was like a fart in
Yeah.
church. That was really
Yeah.
bad. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
thought, it's pretty sad though, Peg, when we're looking at our number 2 best pick of the draft last year was a guy who catches about 10 passes, our third tight end. Hey, he's
Right.
a really good blocker.
Yes. He's
Anyway,
a
that
good
was
blocker. Yeah. Yeah. It's sad.
he was exactly, if you look at it, we had Quentin Morris like for 3 or 4 years, and he was good for maybe 2 catches a year,
Right.
at most. And no one ever talked about his great blocking. I mean, maybe he was a good blocker, but
Yeah.
he was no Jackson Hawes. So,
Yeah.
anyway, one of our best players of the draft is a guy who caught about 10, 12 passes, 3, 4 touchdowns, blocks
Yeah.
really well. He's going to be around.
Yeah.
So
He is. I
he
think.
fit the bill.
Yeah. Yeah. I think. If Knox goes, his role is going to change. And I also think with Dalton Kincaid being, let's face it, injury prone. He's injured. He's played injured. It seems more than he's played healthy. Since we drafted him, I don't know the numbers on that. It just seems like that he's always injured. And we got to see. maybe an expanded role for Hawes. I don't know what his hands are like, but he's always been able to catch everything that Josh has thrown to him within the breadbasket. As long as that throw is on target, he catches it. So we'll see what happens on that front.
So the rest of the list, we talked about Dorian Strong. He started the first game against the Ravens, played about 3 or 4 games. He looked like he was going to be a solid contributor, but had that neck injury, and he had
Mm,
had that surgery, like you said. He may or may not play again. We don't know.
yeah,
It depends on, he's got to get doctor's clearance, and I wouldn't be surprised if he has a medical retirement. And the only
yeah,
other guy that played, and he did play quite a bit toward the end, Jordan Hancock. I
yeah.
think he's looking at possibly being that nickel to replace Taron Johnson, because it doesn't look like he knows what he's doing with safety. He was terrible
No,
last year.
yeah,
The rest of the guys on our team that we drafted, Chase Lunt never played in the game. He's tackle, and like you said, Caden Prather got just cut during camp. So
yeah,
really, Jordan Hancock, he's got a lot of that. He's fast and he
yeah,
hits hard. He comes up. But when he misses big.
yeah,
And that maybe the McDermott scheme was just too much for him, and perhaps the keys are more simple with the Jim Leonard defense, and he can activate the aggressiveness.
yeah.
But anyway, a draft
Find
grade.
out.
I was doing a draft grade off the top of my head, and I was like, we drafted like 9 guys. I would say I would give Harrison I would give him an incomplete because he doesn't play enough, but I thought he's got potential. The only 2 guys
Hmm.
that were really successful were the 2 we talked about, the 4th and 5th round. So I gave it a C
Yeah,
minus last year's
yeah.
draft.
You're not alone in that. The professionals didn't really like. I think some people gave us the benefit of somewhere in the B range, um, and that was like because this is like looking back on what happened this past year, and they just chalked it up to we'll never know what it would have been like if players stayed healthy. But overall, now your C minus, that's after the performance this year. That's what
That's
you're grading
Yeah,
them.
I would
Yeah,
say
yeah,
that my because I pay attention to preseason draft ratings.
yeah,
I kind of I don't know, aggregate them all, and
yeah.
just kind of in my head, and the people that I respect and the people that I follow closely, and they gave Buffalo roughly a B minus grade, on paper.
Right,
And
right,
but then again, it's not on paper, it's what happens on the field, obviously. And
right.
C minus might be generous because we had two guys that lived up to their draft potential. They played to a 4th or 5th rounder, if not better.
Right.
No one else played to their draft spot.
No,
Max Hairston maybe could have. He just didn't play enough. T.J.
right.
Sanders, no. Landon Jackson, no. Deion
No.
Walker is a 4th rounder. Yeah, he probably
Yeah.
played more like a 2nd rounder. And
Mhm,
Jackson Hawes is a 5th rounder. Could give him what he gave us, probably better, but no one else.
mhm.
So C minus is like, I'm probably an easier grader than you.
Yeah.
Probably you would have, there's no, yeah, you might have
Yeah.
given him F
Yeah.
as a teacher. But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so that's what we're thinking. So anyway, the Bills have some spots to fill.
Mhm,
The Bills draft picks have to get better. I've kind of like put together in my head, and you can maybe tack on the things that we have to do to get better. With what we're lacking, we have to draft better. We
mhm,
have to make at least one very good trade, unlike the trades of old. One really good free agent signing, and at least 1 or 2 players to get better, that we
mhm,
have drafted.
mhm,
So the combination of all those guys that we've drafted in the past, picking up a guy, free up a free agent, picking up a guy via a trade, and then drafting at least 1 or 2 players that are very successful. I think we can fill our holes. I don't know what you think.
I think so too. I think the other, option too we have is, how many people can we create more depth by adjusting people's positions? And I don't know enough about it to know, like, can players kinda move around? So, for example, can Cedric Van Granger, can he go to center? Um, I'm
That he
not
was
sure.
drafted as a center. He is a center.
Yeah. So
He can also
so
play
that's
guard,
an
I think.
area where yeah, so that's an area where we can he's gonna need backup. we're going to need to have depth at that position.
Like Alex
But
Anderson, maybe. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it's just, I think that's the only other thing I'm thinking is, when we start thinking about players, can someone move or change position on defense, and because of this different scheme, will they be better suited for that?
Yeah, it's kind of like we're heading into the unknown because we've been living in this McDermott world for so
Mhm.
long, and we're so used to, the way he does things. We're so used to his unimpressive press conferences.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
lack of as a reporter, the lack of a really good quote. I mean, I don't even know if he ever had a good
yeah.
quote. So
No,
anyway,
yeah,
it's a kind of a new age. We have a
yeah,
new staff. I mean, we got some old faces there still. Obviously,
yeah.
Brady's been with us for a few years, and Brady's
Mhm,
finally gets a chance to call plays the way he wants to call them. He doesn't have, Uncle Sean over his shoulder telling him,
mhm,
so we'll see if that was the case. And like you said,
mhm.
if it doesn't work, Bean is going to be looking for a new job,
Yeah,
and maybe Brady will too. So who
yeah.
knows? So
And
I'm
not to
looking at that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, as a positive, and not to mention John Fox is there with a ton of experience.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people on that staff with experience, so I'm not concerned about that, but I do like the hiring of John Fox, somebody else, grizzled John Fox.
71 years old,
Yeah, yeah,
16 years as a head coach between, I think, Carolina, Denver, and I believe the Bears too. So
yeah,
made 2 Super Bowls, didn't win either one, but he made Super Bowls with Carolina and he made a Super Bowl with Denver.
yeah,
So, and then he gets fired I think he gets fired something happens. And then the next guy comes in, Gary Kubiak, and wins the Super Bowl with Peyton. So,
yeah,
so
yeah.
anyway, so that was, but
Uh,
anyway, John Fox has, decades of experience as a head coach, decades in the NFL.
can't hurt.
Successful. He didn't win a Super Bowl, but he's gotten the 2 of them, and I don't know if there's any other coach on the coaching staff of the Bills that's been to 2 Super Bowls. So,
No, no.
in any
I've got hope.
capacity.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've
I
got
mean, I'm
hope.
hopeful too. I mean, there's gonna be more to come, Peg. We'll find
Yeah,
out the actual moves that happen in a couple weeks, and then, we're gonna find out, what trades are gonna be made and, guys that are cut, and I'm looking forward to that. The free agent
yeah,
signings. I'm just hopeful that,
yeah.
that we can maintain what McDermott laid the groundwork for and maybe take that next step. So,
I hope so. It's an exciting time. It's kind of like opening up your Easter basket. What's in there? For waiting for Christmas. It's just like, what's going to happen? And it's definitely with this time of the year, just winter's dragging on up here, Pat. I'm ready for some excitement. So,
yeah,
yeah, it's a long wait until next season.
yeah,
And
I don't, those winters were long. Like,
yeah,
the calendar says 4 months. It feels like 6.
yeah. I used to get through it with Syracuse basketball, but now I don't watch as much because it's just 5 years, no NCAA tournament. This year, it looks like they're not going to make it again. It's like, how do I get through the winter?
You know what? I was looking forward to sitting down, eating dinner, and watching Syracuse play Duke. And then when I turned it on, we were down 27. And I'm like,
Yeah.
it was 70-43 in the second half. It's like, okay.
Yep. Nope.
And then fortunately you texted me and said you're ready.
Yeah.
So I didn't have to watch Syracuse get crushed by the
Oh
Duke Blue
gosh.
Devils. So that
Yeah.
was, yeah, thanks Peck for saving me on that one
Yeah. You're
because
welcome.
my gosh, that was Syracuse is so up and down this year too.
Oh
The
yeah.
basketball team,
They have some good talent, but
the talent's
unfortunately,
there.
coaching's tough.
Well, thanks, Peg, for jumping on today. Thanks, everybody that ends up watching. Anything else, Peg?
Nothing from here on my end. Go
Yeah.
Bills.
Yeah, go Bills. From our family to your family. Stay loud, stay proud. Go Bills.